I really want you to watch this video of Erin Molan responding to Tucker Carlson's take on Israel. She gave a monologue recently, and in it, she ripped apart Tucker Carlson's bias against the Jewish state. Check out what she says about Tucker Carlson's interview with Piers Morgan.
Tucker Carlson has used a sit-down with Piers Morgan to accuse, well, let's be honest, it's not really a strong enough word, to state with complete conviction that Israel deliberately kills women and children.
If you're intentionally killing civilians, you probably shouldn't beat your chest and brag about it. You know, maybe you can make the
I agree
case,
with that.
Maybe you make the case that we had to do it or whatever, but you should.
I agree.
You should weep, and that's evil, and you should just say it's evil. And I know it's really threatening to.
Is it evil, though?
Ben Shapiro to say that or whatever, but
Is it evil?
to kill civilians on purpose? Yeah, it is. I think it is.
Really?
Kids and children. Well, how is it not actually?
In a war?
We can call it whatever you want. How is it right to kill women and children?
I didn't say, well, because I think there is a moral right behind you if you are literally.
To kill women and children?
If
Really?
there's a world war that threatens if it threatens the entire world. Yes.
Some people killed your kids, like your 8-year-old. Like,
Well, obviously,
how
it's
is
your own
that
children.
morally justifiable?
Well, because actually you have to. Well, by your criteria.
It's disgusting.
Okay, it's nothing's. So no war is morally justified.
I mean, I think it's pretty hard to justify. I mean, yeah, I'm
Any
sure.
war.
A pure defensive action, sure. But all I'm saying, look, it's all ugly. It's all hard to stomach. I've actually seen some of it up close. Super ugly.
You can say that. You can say you hate it.
May I finish?
The fact you quibble with it being morally justified.
To intentionally kill non-combatants, women and children, I think we can say that's wrong. In fact, I thought that was the thing we were fighting against.
I mean, I'm used to having to explain the following to useful idiots, but Tucker isn't one of them. I didn't think. I'd long admired him as a broadcaster, someone I looked up to. The Russia stuff, well, lost me a fair bit, to be honest with you, but this, well, it's just getting worse. Tucker, like so many in this space, the apparent care you have for innocent women and children is spot on, and I share it fully. Most people do. I'd love for it to extend to all in that category who suffer, including those in Ukraine and Israel, but I digress. You're right when you say it's evil to intentionally kill them. Of course it is. You're also correct when you make the point that no one should ever beat their chest or brag about it. I'm just completely baffled as to how these factual and morally righteous statements you make are directed towards the victims of this war and not the perpetrators. You must be confused, so let me help. When Hamas invaded Israel on October 7, they intentionally killed thousands of innocent people, including women and children. You know, the ones you speak of. They took hundreds they didn't murder hostage. They also, just for good measure, promised publicly to repeat the atrocities over and over and over again. So when you talk about bragging and chest beating, it's exactly what these terrorists did. They filmed their murderous rampage and made sure the entire world saw it. They then celebrated it, not just in Gaza, but all over the world. In fact, just recently, their leader called it a day of pride for the Palestinians. So just to summarize, they did the following. This is Hamas. Intentional killing of women and children. Tick. Chest beating. Tick. Bragging. Tick. So all the things you say people shouldn't. In contrast, Israel, the victims of October 7, were faced with the following situation. Terrorists who had just demonstrated their capability and willingness to, again, intentionally, there's that word, kill thousands. Their public commitment to continue doing so, and their capture of hundreds of innocent men, women and children they dragged back into Gaza. So Israel has been forced, intentionally, that word again, into this position. It must protect its people against an enemy that has somehow inconceivably convinced the masses that despite its barbaric murderous spree, it's the actual victim. It'd be a hard enough conundrum for any country with the majority of the decent world on side, let alone the unfathomable position many alleged allies have taken in the aftermath of the greatest loss of life suffered by the Jewish since the Holocaust. So what were they to do, Tucker? Seriously, I'd love to know. The only way to protect innocent people from terrorists who promise to keep killing them is to eliminate said terrorists. That could have been done through their own surrender. The hostages released, the weapons laid down, and the killers arrested. No such chance, of course. They're evil. This conflict that followed was part of their plan all along. Israel had to act. They had no choice. They gave warnings, verbal, text messages, leaflets urging civilians to get out. They even told their enemies their next move, to do what they could to minimize collateral damage. But when that enemy craves death and destruction in the same way we all crave life and peace, then they will sacrifice their people to achieve their outcome. That's how Hamas operate. The horrific use of human shields and then the weaponization of it. Israel has not bragged or beaten its chest over the killing of women and children in Gaza. The complete opposite. They've had to apologize and beg for just the sheer acceptance every other country in the world would automatically get during war. A war, mind you, they did not start and have begged to be allowed to finish since it began. Every death of any innocent human being is a tragedy, especially women and children. But you must assign blame where it belongs. And that is at the feet of Hamas and all those who support them. So please, continue to condemn the intentional killing of women and children. We all must. But don't confuse who the perpetrators of it are. If you do, you empower these evil actors to continue using what's now become a tried and tested method by not only accepting the lies and the propaganda, but by using your enormous platform to promote it.
All right, so that was her little take on Tucker being totally, anti-Israel. He actually, fun fact, was not talking about Israel in that clip, although he did talk about it later on. In that specific clip, he was referring to Hiroshima and Nagasaki with regard to innocent civilians dying. So, okay, whoever, had her make this clip didn't inform her of that, but, her point still stands. Tucker Carlson has gone off the anti-Israel conspiracy deep end and has guests constantly come on, talk about how Israel is evil, Israel's a problem, etc., etc. If you want to support us, you can go to Buy Me a Coffee. That's buymeacoffee.com/JewishUncensored and subscribe to the channel, share the video, and continue to comment. Thank you, and have a good one.